Discussion this morning. Thank you. So I had really great discussion this morning with some of you, and got impressed about the structure of this institution. And but the first time I got in contact with Apostolos, actually Apostolos told me to have a just to answer a questions, because someone actually didn't know how to go through the editorial filter. So just this is the main question of this talk. So just remember this question. We will see that at the end of this talk. But first, I want to present myself just briefly. Or Apostolos already said that already. So I'm Cristiano Matricardi. I did a PhD in photonics and material science in Barcelona, and then I started my editorial career. So just it was a pretty smooth shift. And also, if you want to know a little bit more about it, just you can ask me. But this is my team, extended team of Nature Communications. We are more than 130 editors, managing all the fields in science, just from engineering to biological, to biology, to physics and material science. There are not all of them, but in between them, we subdivided into smaller teams. My team is called QAMO, Quantum, Atomic, Molecular, and Optical Physics. I'm here managing nonlinear optics, topological photonics, lasing, metamaterials, a little bit of integrated photonics, now a little bit of quantum optics, just it's overlapping. It's always an overlapping fields. So the thing is, why we exist? And I think I want to start from this question rather than the other questions, because we will start now to understand, just why editors exist, and then how to get through the editorial filter. So the first thing you need to understand, probably to understand why editors basically exist, it's understand the difference between different journals. So the first part of this talk will be understanding the journal selection. And understanding the journal selection is basically understanding which is the differences. Why Nature has an editorial bar, and Nature Physics, Nature Ecology and Evolution, Nature Human Behavior as another bar, Nature Communication another bar again. So I will present you the Nature portfolio. And the Nature portfolio, it's basically a huge family of journals. Those signed with this open access journals. We have the Nature, of course. We have all of the Nature Research Journals family, Nature Communications, then the Communication family, Communication Journals, MPJs, and Scientific Reports. All of these journals are part of the Nature portfolio. But there's a caveat here. There's something that differentiates the black one with the white ones. And then in the black one, we have exclusively in-house editors like me. I'm actually full-time here. I'm actually full-time editor. I'm not doing research. And I'm actually working to understand which kind of work can actually be either Nature or Nature Materials or Nature Communications. Of course, I work in Nature Communications, so I need to focus on my journal. But this is what we actually focus. So everything I will say will apply to this family of journals. No, it's not a wall list. Just MPJs, you mean? Yeah, MPJ. Probably just the MPJs is an MPJ series. So just there's like many of them. Just it's also a series of journals. It's not only one. So it's like we have like 20 titles more or less on the MPJs. So let's focus on this first part. And this first part, to understand the differences, we can say that Nature published the most significant advances in science. Nature Research Journals, landmark paper of interest in their communities, and Nature Communication, important advances within specific scientific disciplines. So stop a little bit, one moment, and please raise your hand if you understood the difference. Come on. But if you really understood the difference. Yeah. Just if you understood the difference, you can raise your hand. You don't have to explain, but just. Yes, it's like it's a complex system. It's not that easy. So at the question, everything is clear. I actually have an answer. Nothing is clear. So let me find the Ernest Cabotage to explain a little bit better this kind of stuff. So a few years ago, has been published this paper here in Management Science that actually showed the CD index. It was a new index. It's called the Disruptiveness Index, and it's basically a citation analysis that defined whether a paper gets cited a specific paper cites the paper behind and the paper before ahead. So it's like it's an evaluation of how much your paper break with the past. This is more or less the CD index. And then at the beginning of 2023 in Nature, this is a really nice paper, there was a study that actually showed how disruptiveness is declining. Then the reasons are different, they do different interpretation, but this is a really interesting reading. So taking this CD index, we will try to understand the difference between different journals. So let's plot on time. It's completely invented plot, this one, just only for showing you. Let's plot on time, just time, and there's on the y-axis the CD index. So we can actually have like maybe a seminal Nature paper here. And then suddenly few other papers just appears, Nature research journals. And then Nature Communication, then a lot of Nature MPJ series, Common series, and then another research, another Nature Communication, and so on and so forth. And this is how it branches, just the development actually start to branch. And you have few Nature paper, fewer NRJ, pretty much, just Nature Communication and a lot of other journals. And then the thing is, we can learn that not everything can be disruptive. Not everything can be new. This is clear. Because if everything is new, nothing is new. This is the first rule. Second rule, imagine that you have now, of course, all results are useful even though are incremental. Because imagine you look at the future. You are here in time and you look at the future, you are a visionary. And you can say, yeah, there's a Nature paper there. Can you jump? I don't think that is that easy. But if you can construct a good ladder based on solid science, you can get that to the Nature paper. And this means that just all results are useful, even though they're incremental. You don't need to be, it doesn't need to be novel. It doesn't need to be a Nature paper to define you as a good scientist or as a good researcher. Because of course, if it's solid, it's useful, and then help to get to the next Nature paper. So with this in mind, we now are ready to understand the difference between the journals. Let's take Nature Communications. In Nature Communication, we have a single topic, like optical metamaterials, but can be other topics. And we move on only one layer, only one topic. And basically, in Nature Communication, we report significant advances that have the potential to influence thinking in the fields. So just from a Nature Communication, we have a lot of other branching from a Nature Communication paper. This is something that makes a Nature Communication paper. And which does mean new ideas, new insights, new technologies, something that actually bring you a little bit forward. You have these results, but then what does results enable? What does result actually can allow you that was not possible before? This is the new idea, new insight. And one thing is important, broad appeal is not a prerequisite for publication in Nature Communication. You don't have to just tackle every fields from biology to chemistry to astronomy. No. Just it's important to have a really great work in a single topic. So now we need to add another level of complexity to go to the NRJ, a little bit higher in the pyramid. And this level of complexity, when you have axis, you add one axis, you add a third axis. So just it becomes 3D axis, where on the third axis, we have different topics. And then imagine that you have like Nature Photonics. Now, sorry for the examples that are all in optics, but it just is like deviation, but just, you have different topics like optical metamaterials. But then a Nature Photonic paper, for example, is a paper that has implication to the whole entire community in imaging, communication, biophotonic, lasers. And this is what does, you can visualize a Nature Communication, a Nature Photonics paper, a Nature Research Journal paper in general. And then we have the last one, we have the Nature paper. And in the Nature one, on the third axis, we have different fields. So when we have a Nature paper, we have photonics. But then we have also chemistry, astronomy, social science, ecology, medicine. And something published in that paper can actually have impact in other fields. And here, the most scientific advances in science. So now we understand which are the differences. Those sentences, those small sentences now make a little bit more sense, I would say. And then you can actually understand whether, you know, a paper is for Nature or for Nature Research Journals or for MPJs. And the editors are actually there to, you know, have a broad perspective on a given field across different levels. You need to understand how the work can actually impact your fields or not. And you need to go, you know, you need to read a lot. You need to engage with the community. You need to talk with experts. You need to talk to people who are actually doing the exercise, the research every day, and then build your own sensibility and actually find the way to have this kind of vision as a content selection, which is not a content creation, neither a content evaluation. So we have this big picture. We try to evaluate the disruptiveness of a field, putting a little bit of order. And you need time and you need editors. And for this reason, when you find that someone has, some journals has a scientific editors full-time, this scientific editor full-time is not there like a gatekeeper like this, you know, just you shall not pass, you know, and you cannot actually publish in our journal. It's like a content selection for the given journal. So this is the first part. We have two parts left to understand, to answer the previous question. The second part is the editorial process. Sorry. The second part is the editorial process. And I think, I know, many of you are familiar with this process. How many of you have published a paper at least once, please? No, just many of you. So just you clearly know that you submit a paper, the chief editor, editor decisions, and so on and so forth, and then just an outcome. But I think it's, at least when I was doing a PhD, it was more or less like this. It was a black box. I feed something in, and then I got something out, and just what happened, I don't know. You know why? And we'll try to open this open box and then just try to understand how do we make decisions. And this will be the other brick to understand how to go through the editorial process, how to go through the editorial selection. So starting with the editorial review, we receive the paper and we make a decision. How? We read the paper. Strange, isn't it? We read the paper, actually. We read the whole paper, not just the cover letter, not just the abstract. We actually read it and we ask ourselves a lot of questions. There's a funny story. When I started at Nature, I received this welcome pack, and welcome pack, it was digital stuff, you know, and there was a PDF with the title, you know, how to assess primary research. And I say, just wow, I have like just the thing that I need to understand how to get published. And then just I opened this file, and I found 4 pages full of questions. Was incredible, you know, just what? Are you kidding me? No, just 4 pages full of questions, which means we need to ask ourselves questions, and we need to train to ask ourselves the right questions at the right time. So being an editor is like going through the paper and actually asking yourself the right questions. So during this first editorial assessment, we first question the originality. Has this been done before? And I'll tell you what, 90% of the time, it's not been done before. You know, just why you should do something that has already been done. You know, just why should I bother to do something the same thing that just in the same way that has been done before. So just it's pretty easy to do something that has been done before. Second thing, how it has been done. And here is someone start to fail because it was incremental. It was a new way of doing things. It was a tweaking of a known system. I published last year a Nature paper, and then now I'm tweaking a few knobs and find, oh, nice results. How difficult was tweaking these knobs? Just it was in the air. It can't be, just if the results you get actually enables you to do something that was not possible before, this is another story, and this is the third questions. But if it's just a tweaking, if it's incremental, if it's a way that just is not difficult, there were not technical difficulties in achieving this kind of next step, this is not for us. And this is a reason for rejection. So the third level of complexity, imagine you pass the second level of complexity, what can we do with it? Gauge the implication, gauge the practical applicability. And practical, I don't mean practical in a device. Practical, I mean, would this the results, give you food for thoughts to go ahead with another project, to go ahead with the same project? It's something like it stops there and then just you just answer the questions and close the story, or just you answer the question and give the tools to others to solve their own problem. This is what are the implications. So maybe you can also close your questions, but those results can actually be useful to someone else to find their own answer. And this is something that we can evaluate to send out or not to peer review this paper. Yeah.
Before you say that incremental is not an issue. Now you're saying that incremental is an issue. But what are you using?
Incremental is an issue depending on what you have, because of course, if you don't have great implication, great applicability, if it's incremental, just is not hierarchical. Maybe it's a little bit incremental, but have a lot of practical implication, or it has not clear implication, but it's completely new. So in this case, it's not an issue, because of course it's a balancing of all of these aspects. Also, how the field is moving. For example, if the field is moving really fast, it's new, and every 2 months we have a new thing, and then just pretty new things means like just it's pretty easy to create knowledge. So just if it is incremental in this way, it's an issue. But if it is incremental from a paper that has been published 15 years ago, and you add something that could seem incremental, why 15 years has passed before something has been done in this incremental way? So we need to understand also which were the hurdles to get to these results, even though they're incremental. It's like there's not a yes or no answer in this case. So you don't need to worry about if something could seem incremental, because of course if the results actually have really great applicability, so just is not incremental. I give you an example. Maybe I said that example before to someone. The wheel has been invented when? I don't know. Many years ago. I don't know when it's been invented. The luggage has been invented also, just 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, maybe just in the Roman Empire, we also have luggages. We went to the moon in 1969, and the luggage with wheels has been invented in the 70s. Luggage with wheels is incremental, but it would be Nature paper if it would have been a paper. So these are the nuances that are actually that makes this work a little bit difficult, because you need to understand case by case how the field is moving. So of course, we do not review paper, and this is just an editorial assessment. We are not reviewers, we are not evaluators. Technical stuff, really hard technical stuff, is not upon us. This is an editorial assessment, especially in the first assessment. So we write, this is basically a classical summary. We read a summary here of the paper. We read a recommendation with all our thinking. You know, just you create a strong knowledge. You create a strong rationale behind. Because of course, if someone, if you know, so if you come to me and say, "Oh, look, your paper, your rejection doesn't make sense," I say, "Okay, tell me why," and you tell me why, and I say, "Okay, I already considered those issues. I didn't consider the last issue, but let me think and let me discuss. Okay, no, this is not for us. Okay, you convince me. This is for me, but I need to have a reasoning to argument every time, either for accepting or for rejecting. Saying no, it's harder than saying yes, because you need to be really sure that your reasoning has a strong basis. You know, just every decision is based on a strong reasoning behind. So this is more or less how do we do the first assessment. Of course, we are not alone. We can also discuss in between.
Rejection, we do not get feedback from. Did you agree on this work? Why not?
Because of course, imagine that I say to you every time everything, and you don't know it's a cultural thing. I mean, I would be happy to share everything, but if I start to explain every time in every rejection I do or every accept I do, I don't have time to just manage all of the stuff. Just it's because of course, the more information you give, the more it's easier to get a response. So we leave at the beginning. We leave to the authors to try to be self-critics to their work, but we encourage you, if you really believe that the rejection have, you know, overlooked some important aspect, to talk to the editors. We are not like you know, impermeable, you know, just to talk to the editors, or basically ask for reasoning. You know, you can easily, "Oh, can you explain to me a little bit better why did you reject the paper?" And that's it. And then just you will have this reasoning. But at the first rejection step, we basically do not do this easily, because of course we will receive too many appeals that we know clearly how they will end up. Because of course also appealing is a matter of going through your own work and then just be really self-critics on your own work. And sometimes when you receive a rejection, you're just furious. You boil down, you boils, and then, you know, okay, let's write the editors everything because he rejected for this, that reason, and you don't understand. You know, just there should be a different way. Of course, those notes are confidential, because of course we can share some works that are also already in consideration, but we can share with you. It's a discretion of the editor. Some authors ask me to share those notes. I need to modify a little bit because there was something confidential, but I can share these notes. So it's a discretion of the editors. I normally try to do it because I believe that just fair and transparent communication between editors and authors will actually bring to better, you know, just system. So of course, this is more or less how do we interact. Of course, we have a bigger team. So when there's condensed matter, organic, inorganic, photovoltaics, we have a lot of expertise. This is the pros of nature communications. So let's go to peer review. Imagine that you have this done to peer review, and then just you try to understand to get to the second decision. First, this decision is on the editor. It's for the editor, which means we can overrule something. We can overrule novelty. Imagine you have 3 reviewers, 2 of them say novelty is a problem, and they do not give really great arguments, or they give arguments that you already consider at your previous stage. And the 3rd reviewer say, this is really good. We can actually overrule those 2 negative reports. And even though with 2 negative reports, we could end up publishing. because it's an editorial call. We can overrule the level of novelty, the broadness, but also the other way around.
Actually, literally the other way around.
Exactly. I mean, in my experience, I had both cases in, just, I would say 80-20, 20% the first case and 80% the other way around. And the more you are higher in the journal selectivity, the harsher is the editorial decision, because of course there's a strict editorial bar. When I say on my pink notes, on my first notes, sorry, it's an internal decision, visitors. When I say in my notes that I want to send this out to peer review, but I'm not sure about the novelty because there's this and that and this paper that compromise a little bit, and I want to know what the community think about it. And you have two reviewers that are okay-ish, and one reviewer which is negative. Even though just one reviewer is negative, we can't actually go ahead because there's novelty concerns. Or when there are really strong technical concerns, we basically give the benefit of the doubts of giving like a stern major revision, like super harsh, just if you don't do this and that experiment, it's an experiment that can last 1 year, we won't publish. But if we see a lot of technical problems, we prefer to reject it, maybe open doors, just with the possibility to appeal. So it's kind of, there are shadows in between decisions, but the decision is for the editors. So it's not a reviewer decision. It's not a thumbs up, thumb down. So when difficult decision, we, of course, involves more editors. We are not alone, even though just you receive the email from one editor. There's been a discussion between all other editors in the team. And of course, what I said, decisions are supported by arguments. It's not like I feel that it's not for us. We don't use the word I feel. We don't use the word it seems. I think this is X because this is classical stuff. I think this is like this because this and this and that. If you don't use this because this and this and that, you cannot actually clearly define which is your reason. So I want to share with you right now a letter that a colleague of mine, I wasn't even born that time, received when authors were upset about the peer review process. So the letter was like this: "Dear sir, we, Mr. Rosen and I, have sent your manuscript for publication and not authorized to show you to any specialist before it is printed. I see no reason to address the, in any case, erroneous comments of the anonymous expert, and on the basis of this incident, I prefer to publish the paper elsewhere. Respectively, Albert Einstein." So Albert Einstein was upset about peer review before you were upset. So, and also, second thing, peer review is a modern tool. It's not been here forever and can change with the interaction between communities, between researchers, between editors, reviewers. So don't think that just is a fixed thing, and engage in discussion to reform also the way we evaluate science. So let's go to rejection. Like as I said, rejection can be, we discussed the reason why we rejected paper before. And then when you had the paper rejected, you of course are sad. So just, you said, maybe I can either appeal, which is good, just outcome. Of course you can appeal. And I want to show you how to appeal. Because of course, appeal is like a conscious decision that your paper really has a lot of value and someone in the process got the thing wrong. But also is the time to consider to consider realistically your case, to answer those questions before. What can we do with it? Gauge the applicability. How it has been done. If it's been incremental, it's been tricky. Just be the first person who can criticize your work. Try not to fall in the hyping question, in the hyping narrative. Try to just step away from the thing. This can be the best thing of the world. Just be super critic to yourself, because if you reach a point in which you say, yes, I've been super critic to myself, and I'm right. I think I'm right, and this is the right moment to appeal. If you build your narrative on just cartoon grounds, cartoon bricks, is not a good appeal. So just you need substantial changes. Of course, you don't need to do cosmetic rewriting, just something like, let's put a comma here, 2 spaces there, let's reshuffle this picture. No, this doesn't work. Also attacks, celebrity endorsement, celebrity like, just I've been to this conference, oh yeah, just it's been liked by everyone there, just this doesn't work either. So the golden rule is don't fight, add evidence and substantial changes after you reconsider realistically your case. This is the main important thing that you have to think about when you have to appeal. But you also can transfer. We have a really straightforward transfer mechanism, just process in which we can transfer papers from Nature to the Nature Research Journals, to Nature Communication, to MPJs. Now, it's Nanophotonics one examples, but this is it's an easy way just to go through the peer review process in an easy way. For example, you get the peer review in Nature Communications. There was no, let's say, good outcome. So just it's been rejected after review because of technical reason, and not because technical reason is difficult, but just because we tried to solve it until it's not possible anymore. But for editorial reasons, so just you can transfer to another journal and start again from you have left off. So just you get rid of all of the first part of the editorial assessment. And then, of course, each journal is independent, so we don't actually read why the other journal rejected the paper. So this is a really important thing. And so rejection from one doesn't prejudice the consideration from others. So we don't talk about each other.
But this would like you have a good journals, or from one which is very good to one which is not that good, one worse. And why is that? Because suppose that all the journals are good. So
I mean,
the study to say this topic doesn't fit in Nature because it might not be enough or whatever, or enough. Many people, but then as it looks like here.
I mean, I don't know if you remember at the beginning, when we understood the difference between different journals, I never said that if you publish in Nature and if you publish in MPJ, you have better and worse. I said all results are useful, even though they are incremental. All results are useful, even though they are published in Nature and MPJ Nanophotonics. Maybe you can answer a questions are really hard, impressive question, scientifically really complicated, that involved 3 years of hard work every day in the lab and in the simulations. But then when you wrap up the advantages, it closes, it doesn't open. So according to the editorial line, editorial is not a level of quality, it's a level of what do we have, which are the implications. So if you publish in MPJ or publish in Nature, you can have probably the same quality. It doesn't mean that just you publish in, just you can publish in Nature the luggage with the wheels, and then probably in MPJ you published the luggage, just because the cartoon luggage is better than the how to say wood luggage. It's something like it's something that we need to understand, that there's no good and worse venue, but there are venues with different editorial lines. When you read a Nature paper, when you read a Nature Photonics, when you read a Nature Communication, when you read an MPJ, you recognize the editorial selection and the editorial imprinting. It's like reading a Vogue for fashion, reading Trend, which is in the middle, and Ciao. And just these 3 different editorial lines. And it doesn't mean that just if it's published in one of those, one is worse than other. It goes to a different community with a different selection, with a different meaning, with a different story. And this is how this transfer cascade should be thought. Because an editor that just suggests you to transfer from Nature Photonics to Nature Communications, because she really thinks, just I know personally, I know Rachel Won from Nature Photonics, and we discuss a lot about our editorial lines, and she knows my editorial line. And when Rachel actually suggests some paper to transfer to me, to Nature Communication, she knows that comes to me. She knows that this can actually be good for Nature Communications. Of course, there can be some changes in depending on the fields, but this is the misconception that we need to get rid of. Yeah, this is a misconception that we have to get rid of. Yeah. Yeah, but this didn't work. Yeah, I mean, I see many transfer. Just sometimes it goes to Nature Communications, and then you go to Nature Physics, and then transfer again to Nature Communication. Just I see that because I see this. So it's kind of, you see that. You see from here to another Nature portfolio journal like LSA, which is completely different journals, but also pretty strict editorial lines. So, I mean, I don't know if ever, just if it's been rejected in Nature Communication, I think it's really, really difficult, unless the editors who took this decision was drunk at that time. Just like it's impossible. Just it's really. I think it's really, really not common that something can happen that way. But yeah, I see transfer. So, as I said, UMPJ Nanophotonics, I'm also advisory editor there, and the scope is like on the last and the chain. It's a high quality research, review, commentary, prototyping, showcases, something that you can actually use it. And this is MPJ Nanophotonics, but it applies to every MPJs in every field because we have different fields. So this is the reason why we need to abandon this vision, and it's difficult. I can understand it because, of course, it's all of the system has an inertia that just you cannot stop it with only your will. So, but we need to start thinking in a different way of journals, especially those journals with strong editorial selection and strong editorial content and strong content direction, which are all of the Nature journals that I showed you before. So, third and last part of this talk, I'm actually understanding and conveying the message. This is the third part that you have to understand how to go through the editorial selection. First of all, easy, rule 1, think of the reader. Who is the reader? It's a really niche community. It's a scientist, it's everyone. It's a review, it's like a scientist like in your niche field, or whatever. So depending on this, you will actually use different words. But this is pretty easy. Everyone say that. Second rule, explain. Do not hype. Explain, and you will understand yourself whether your work has which are the potential. Do not use the word novel, remarkable. Not just this remarkable novel synthesis yields an extremely pure product. This sentence doesn't mean anything because all of these words are not actually explaining which are the actual value of your work. Just the synthesis yield a pure product. Easy, straightforward, unprecedented, novel approach. Just those words flatten concepts. And at some point, if you find experienced editors, we have a filter. We don't see those words. We really don't see those words. I really don't see novel. I really don't see impactful, remarkable. I feel like just it doesn't get to me anything. Because of course you see novel. What is novel? Impactful for what? Explain it. Explain it why it's impactful. Explain it why it is novel. Do not say that. We try to avoid this because of course we also don't know if it's novel. Are you really 100% sure that this is novel? That this is the first time in the world that something like this has been done? We cannot be sure. So try to explain it and do not hyping also for yourself. If you train yourself to don't hype your thinking, you will actually be able to reach a point in which you ask yourself the questions that are reasonable to get to the results that are also reasonable for a specific journal. Just let's say Nature Communications. Do not hype your results. Do not train your brain to hype your results. Be self-critics as much as possible. Rule 3, show, don't tell. And show means see why this is important, not see what we have done. Why this is important, why we can actually do something with it. So basically, it's kind of using also a logical flow of narrative. You don't have to be, instead of classic narrative to convey the information, the logical flow will help you to show better what you have done. And then for this, I don't know if we have time. I think a few minutes. Okay, I just can skip this. Rule 4, be clear and simple. Easy. Do not use jargons, acronyms, sentence shorter, depending on also the community you are addressing. If you're addressing a really specific community, use as much as jargon you want, because you can actually speak the same language as them. But if you address more people, especially, just here, you will experience every day in this cross-disciplinary research. Lexicon is really a central part to understand each other and to create knowledges. So try to spend time to create good sentences that are understandable without jargons. Of course, this is the New York Times. Are you confused by scientific jargons? So are scientists. You want to know a few statistics? This is proportion of jargons in the title and citations. This is like 0 jargons, you have a spike of citation, and even more when there's the abstract jargons. Proportion of jargon in the abstract and then citation that spikes up. So the less jargon you use, the better it's understandable is the work you've done. You can actually share. So as a summary, think of the reader, explain, don't hype, show, don't tell, and be clear and be simple. And these are really just strict questions, but just I hope I gave you a few examples to let you know what those rules means. So the answer to the first questions, do you think we have the answer? How to go through the editorial filter? Anyone want to guess? So I think we need to get rid of this and change perspective. There's no editorial filter. There's what is your work able to give to the community. Recognize your work. Recognize the potential of your work for a specific journal, and then be self-critics. And then at some point, if you train this kind of thinking, and if you start reading, it's like osmosis. You get I would say the capability of asking the right questions. It's only a matter of asking yourself the right questions. It's not getting a great answer, which is also important, but asking the right questions, either for understanding the value of your work, or before deciding which kind of line of research you want to pursue. So if you take a message, I want you to remember this change of perspective, because of course, as I said you before, different journals have different editorial bars. So you need to completely change this perspective. And you can do it also with the help of the editors that actually working every day, especially professional editors working to have this great big picture and helping, scientists, researchers, community, foster collaboration, try to select and create content that are useful for the community, for a specific community, and try to put orders in this, in this, let's say, mess. It's not a mess, but just in these different levels of complexity and different levels of advantages. So if you need to remember only one thing about this talk, remember this thing. You can forget about everything else, but remember this thing. So I thank you very much for this time, Apostolos, and you for giving me this time for a little bit explaining your my just my work and how does it work. And if you, of course, if there are any questions, please ask.